Microphone test 1 2 1 2. This is your boy Rich. What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. Another episode here of Family Music Life Deconstructed. Today we're going to be going through the letter to Colin Kaepernick, breaking down what I was thinking when I was writing this, stopping it for any cool bars that I happen to think of, or just pertinent talking points. So without further ado, let's get into it, because this one's pretty heavy. So if you missed the beat breakdown, it is on the channel as well as what inspired the song. So let's get into it.
Don't you want to sound rich?
Yo, it's Rich Latta. This is the letter to Colin Kaepernick, man. You listening? We salute you. Before 30 years pass and history rewrites you, I grew my hair out, inspired to be like you.
So before 30 years pass and history rewrites you, because think about it, every time there's some type of issue with anyone, there's always going to be a rewritten version, but I wanted to capture the raw feelings in time. And at the time, I grew like a big ass afro out, just like Colin Kaepernick. So
Admire what you did and the courage that it took to put your knee down for us while you got all these looks. They called you a traitor, booed and started hating you, called you ungrateful and a nigga that's replaceable. Only kids you took a knee and they care to see why. And when they talk about your skills, all they do is lie.
So it took people all of 5 minutes to forget how good of a quarterback Colin Kaepernick was, to forget that he was a dude that had a certain skill set that was unstoppable at one point. And it was amazing the lies that people twist themselves into at the time, and they continue to twist themselves into now, rather than just realizing what happened.
Before this revolution, what you needed, used to say the way you play would revolutionize the league.
Ask the Green Bay Packers about it. 181 yards rushing in the playoffs. Before the revolution, what you needed, used to say the way you play would revolutionize the league. And now, look at the league. Lamar Jackson. Say no more. He's the current MVP. Deshaun Watson. Tons of guys that, can move and go and throw.
And now they blackballing you, cause you brought attention. Now how our black bodies getting shot by the cops. They said that you would be all talk, no action.
They said that you would be all talk, no action. So the action I found was bullshit. They were requiring of Colin Kaepernick. And, upon reflecting 3 years later, it was never Cap's job to solve the problem. It was his job to say how fucked up it is. And, requiring him to give like this, set amount of money, or whatever he's, making him start a foundation, all these things that he did that he never got credit for, he didn't have to do it anyway, because it wouldn't have changed any minds. It wouldn't have solved the problem, because this problem is bigger than him.
Gave $1 million and they act like it ain't happened. They treating you like Ali. You the modern day him. One day they'll see.
Colin Kaepernick is the modern day Muhammad Ali. Flat out.
You should see these comment sections, man. People is tripped, lying about you left and right cause they offended and shit. Man, that national anthem, I see it got them charged up. Slavery hymn that they edited for all of us.
I didn't even know that at the time. So that last part of the national anthem that they took out, to pretty much make it more palatable for people. But the song is the song. The song was written with a certain intention, and it's hard to take pride in that when you learn about the song's origins.
You balled out while your whole team struggled.
You balled out while your whole team struggled. So the original line was, you balled out while your whole team trash. And I had ran these lyrics by my boy Alex, and he was like, well, football players are real prideful. And, what if Colin Kaepernick happened to hear this and be like, oh, you called my teammates trash, maybe you dissed me. So I changed it to, while the team struggled, because undoubtedly they struggled while he was, putting up a 4-to-1 touchdown ratio, and he was one of the better quarterbacks at the time. He just had no weapons and no real line or anything, and they were a diminished version as a team of themselves from a couple years earlier when they were dominating the league, where they had Randy Moss, they had Vernon Davis, they had Michael Crabtree, they had, I believe, Frank Gore at the time at the end, if I'm not mistaken, but they were loaded on offense at the time and defense.
They signing bums off the street to fill every huddle.
Shout out to Nathan Peterman.
Then they ask if you committed to the game. You should turn that right around and ask them the same thing.
So I like that line a lot, because it was a question of commitment. When, are you really committed to this game? And it's like, nah, man, are y'all committed to the game? Like, do y'all want to win? Like, we've seen teams leave Super Bowl appearances on the table, instead of reaching out and possibly getting a big game quarterback for a strong defense. Like, I think a couple years ago, I want to say the famous one was the Jaguars, also the Vikings at the time. They were running out there with Blake Bortles and backup quarterbacks, and the Eagles as well. It was like they would have made one phone call, they could have just got the ultimate storybook ending, and boy, would people have been not well had that happened. So it didn't, so we got to move on.
Gave our brothers suits and prepared them for success, cause you pointed out our murders, this is why they upset.
So at the time, I believe Kaepernick started a program to where he would get suits for incarcerated felons that were coming out of jail. They didn't have things to wear to job interviews. He basically started this program to outfit lots of black men, and I thought that was a really commendable thing.
Maybe if you beat a woman who you was pulling triggers, they could find a second chance in a team that could fit you, man.
It's no secret the NFL has turned their head on domestic violence, various other crimes I won't even get into, but but for some reason they could not, find it a way to get this guy a fair look anywhere. So
what you did should be commended. Instead they treating you like you should have been suspended. I can't imagine what it's like to take them questions. They twisting up your words in every interview session. Vic, don't listen to them, you already know that.
So at one time, Michael Vick was telling him to cut his hair off, and it was like, bro, it doesn't matter if you cut your hair, they're still gonna look at you. Your skin color don't change with that. And Michael Vick's somebody that's had to apologize every day for the rest of his life after his dog stuff, and he's had to pretty much apologize his way into acceptability almost. And Michael Vick has worked on different networks. I believe he was employed with Fox Sports 1 at the time, and it just it sat really wrong with me knowing what he had to go through. But it was crazy, by Vick essentially redeeming himself, going back through that, he's like, man, I can't ever mess it up. And standing with Colin Kaepernick would not have worked out well for Michael Vick, I imagine. So I think Colin Kaepernick was wise enough to know I don't need to listen to Michael Vick at this time.
Cut your hair off and they'll still be on your back, cause you black and had the nerve to challenge everyone. Man, I wouldn't sweat it cause you 50 years ahead of them. A year or two older than I saw you put it on the line and look like you was fine. If I never see you line up on the field, you see, I just wanted you to know that you a hero to me. This a letter to the captain. You see,
and that's the whole thing right there. It was a song that I knew I wanted to write. I immediately, when I thought of the concept, it was like, oh shit, I know exactly how I'm gonna do it. This didn't take long at all. It was just write how you feel to somebody that you admire. And that was, the song that I came up with. There's an additional 1.5 minutes of me talking. I won't play that now, but if you guys want to check it out, it is available out on streaming and all of that. But thank you guys for watching this lyrical breakdown of a letter to Colin Kaepernick, and I'll holla at y'all next time. Make sure you check out the rest of the channel, and thank you guys for pushing me over 100 subscribers. I have something really cool coming out for you guys to show my appreciation. I'm out. Peace.